Hello everyone, welcome back. And today I'm going to talk about uh, the latest version of WSO2 ESP, WSO2 Micro Integrator version 4.4, and also more importantly, the newest, latest, greatest addition to the family is the Visual Studio Code extension for Micro Integrator. Um, so, a bit before we go into this latest tool, uh, let's look at how we used to do the micro integrator or WS2 ESP integration development up until today, right? So we used to have a tool called basically the Integration Studio, which is a visual uh, low code uh, development tool. Let me open it up for you. So this tool has been there for a very long time, and I believe most of you have used this tool already and you are familiar with it. So as you can see, when you open this tool, you will be presented with this is the latest version of, or I would say the last version of this Integration Studio tool. So this is a tool developed on top of Eclipse, and we have made number of changes, additions, enhancements to this tool over the past few years. The people who have used the early version of this tool, they will see the tool has gone, or tool has come a long way with a lot of changes, improvements over the last few years. So the last version is much user-friendly, convenient to the early releases. So when you open this tool, you will be presented with some samples. So you can get started with one of these samples. So this will be your starting point, and then you can go ahead and do modifications on top of this. So these are some of the examples we used to ship with the tool, and then you can also get started with a blank project if you want. So you can say new integration project, and then it will create the necessary artifacts for packaging, deployment, depending on your requirement. And let me open up an existing project we have created. So this is basically the tool we were working with up to now. So you will be presented with a project explorer, and then you will be able to see different projects, like this is your the integration project, and one more project for the packaging and deployment, and then inside this integration project you will be able to maintain your artifacts, APIs, endpoints, or the different artifacts you are working with. And if you look at the integration development, as I said, it's a low code experience. So this will be your design surface. So you will be basically able to drag and drop any mediators from this mediator palette, right? You will be given a set of mediators, and depending on your requirement, you can pick and choose whatever the mediators you want. So you'll have a bunch of mediators, and then what you can do is you can just drag and drop whatever the mediator, right? It provides the visual guidance depending on the context, and once you put the mediator, then you will have the basically will have the property window down below, and you can go and configure your mediator graphically. You'll be presented with the properties window for configuration, right? And behind the scene, it generates the code which is in Synapse for you, and if you are comfortable with this, you can go ahead and do modifications in the source itself, and then it will be updated over here. And then you can also do the packaging. You can do various things like you can generate Kubernetes artifacts, generate a Docker image, and you can run this integration in this tool itself. So the the latest releases or last few releases of this tool came up with an embedded micro integrator runtime. So you don't have to package and manually deploy the artifacts and test it with the ESP runtime. We have a embedded micro integrator runtime in the tool, inside the tool. So you can simply say export the project and run within the tool itself, right? So that made the development super easy and convenient. And once everything is done, developed, tested, and debugged, so finally you can generate the required carbon application or composite application car file, and then you can deploy it to your dev test, whatever the environments, right? So this is a tool which we have been using up until Micro Integrator version 4.2, which was the one before the previous release, and this tool still had various I would say challenges, starting with the download. So it is close to 1 GB download, and it requires a bit of additional memory and CPU power. It's a bit of a bulky tool, and also this tool had some known issues with Windows operating systems, right? So I think most of the developers use Windows operating system, not many use Mac and Ubuntu. So we got a lot of feedback where we could improve this tool further to support the Windows operating system. So having said that this tool had many challenges over the past few years, so we decided to move into VS Code. So VS Code is one of the widely accepted development tool or IDE in the community. So now we have the first class integration with the VS Code. So we have a extension where you can do pretty much everything what you used to do with your integration studio, right? So if you go to WSO2 website, and if you go into Micro Integrator category, which is the integration technology, let's say explore it. So as you can see, we will be primarily positioning VS Code as the development tool, and we are not going to make any modifications, any enhancements, and we are not going to provide any future releases for Integration Studio. So we will put that tool into the archive, so our existing customers can continue to use it. But if you are planning to move into the latest version of Micro Integrator, then you will be basically given the VS Code as the development tool. And so let's explore what are the capabilities. So you will see there is a nice video over here which explain some of the capabilities in the product, including the VS Code. So as you can see, so we also have the integration with AI. So you can now provide your requirement in plain English, and then it will generate the boilerplate for you, right? So I'm not going to cover that part today. We can have a separate video around that. So today I'm going to talk about this tool and show you very high level how to get started with the tool and maybe do a simple integration and show you how we can do the development and testing using the tool. And also I think data mapper or transforming from one data format to another data format is one of the key feature we had in the integration studio. So graphically you could do the mapping between different data formats. So we have the same in VS Code as well. So as you can see, you can transform from one format to another using the data mapper mediator. And we have the 100% enterprise integration pattern compatibility with this tool, right? Okay, so let me open up the VS Code, and I do have the Micro Integrator extension installed, right? So what you can do is, if you don't have this integration extension, you can go to extensions and then you can search for WSO2 and then you will have the Micro Integrator VS Code plugin extension, right? So you can install that from here, or you can download the extension as a separate file, and then you can install from that file as well, right? So let's go to the Micro Integrator by clicking this option, and then what you can do is, see, as you can see here, we have bunch of samples over here again, similar to Integration Studio, and this is 100% backward compatible, meaning you can open your existing Integration Studio projects from VS Code and then continue your development, right? So you have the compatibility as part of the tool. So these are a bunch of samples provided. You can get started, and then you can use as the starting point. And so what I can do is, basically I can create a new project. So we had the new project, create new project option in the start page. So you can say create new project, and you can give it a name. You can say so I'm actually going to replicate the quick start guide example available in our documentation, which is the simplest example you can develop, and you can get familiar with the tool within few minutes, right? So I give a name, and then you can select the location where you want to save this. So let me save in a folder in my laptop, and you'll see all these things automatically taken care of for you, and then say create. So now it creates the boilerplate for you, and a few things to mention. In order for this tool to work properly, you need to have a compatible Java version installed, as well as you need Micro Integrated runtime. So you have to have Micro Integrator downloaded, and then you have to have it extracted beforehand, because what you're going to do is, you're going to point to that location and then do the testing. And then also you need to have Maven install, Apache Maven, for this tool to work properly, right? So now you will be presented with this Project Explorer. So as you can see, we can work with APIs, endpoints, reusable sequences, proxy services, message tools. So this is pretty much identical to what we had in our Integration Studio from the project structure perspective, right? And this is where you get started with your AI stuff. I'll do a separate session on that. So now what I'm going to do is, again, if you explore this you will see what other things you can create, different artifacts. So let me create an API first. So basically what we are going to do is we are going to build something similar to this. So basically we have a hello world service. It simply spits out saying hello world as expected. So you are going to create a API a service in Micro Integrator which will call this backend service and then provide the message we are receiving from this backend service, right? It's pretty simple, straightforward. So what I'm going to do is now as the next step I'm going to create an API and then use that backend. Okay, so let me go into API section, and when you hover over your mouse you will get this little plus sign. Say click that and then you will have the screen to provide the required information. So you can say hello world, and then it will automatically generate the context. If you can change it, and as you can see you can also have the ability to create this APIs from a API definition or a Vista file. So let's say create, and then you will get your API resource over here. You can see the API spec. You can add more resources. By default you get a get resource, and how do you change from get to post, and how do you make modifications to this resource? You can select this three dots option here, and then you can say edit, right? And then you can basically change the URL style, what protocol you want to support, and then what method actually you're going to support through this resource. And also you can have your own resource path configured as well, including path params, query params. So you can do whatever the modifications over here, and you can select this resource. When you click this resource you will be taken to the design surface, so this is where you do the integration development, right? So before that we need to have a reference to our endpoint as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new endpoint. Hover your mouse and click plus, and then we have bunch of different endpoints. We can have a reference to HTTP, load balance, failover, address. So let's select HTTP endpoint, and I can give a name called hello world endpoint, and this is the URL, and then we can keep it as get, and then you have a bunch of other properties that you can configure, right? So all this will be configured graphically and then you can say create. So I have two artifacts in the project. I have the endpoint, right, and select the endpoint, and you can make whatever the modifications, and then I have the API, hello world API, right? So now what I need to do is basically I need to call this endpoint. So it's very interesting when you go into this design surface. Here you have the edit option again. You can make whatever the modifications to this resource, and in the top right corner you have options to view the source. So you can see the source in parallel, right? So you can do whatever the modifications either in the source view or in the design view, right? So let me click this plus button. So that's how you add different mediators into the integration. So let's say call endpoint. I want to call an endpoint which is the hello world endpoint, right? And say submit, and it automatically update the source for you as well, right? So let me get rid of the source view, and then I can basically add the response mediator, right? So this is the quick start guide example we have in our website. I'll put a reference to the sample. So now I have my integration ready, right? It's calling out an endpoint and receiving a message, and it will be basically giving me that output, right? So now I need to test this. So what I need to do is I need to go to the command palette, and then there's option called add mi server. So I need to add a reference to micro integrator runtime, right? So I can say this is where my micro integrator is downloaded. Just point to the root directory of the micro integrator, say select folder, and then in the top right hand corner there is a play button. So you can click that, and then you will get your output window. You will see there's a bunch of things happening. So if in case if you receive an error message when you try to run this, for example, if you get a message saying unable to load or something, right? Then it could be something to do with your Maven installation or JDK. Okay, so I received an error. Let me see. Okay, right, so let me successfully deployed. Okay, but I think it did not start the integration. Okay, let's go and see what could be the issue. Yeah, so one of the area I think we are still working on is we are in the process of improving this errors. So I think currently it does not provide a lot of details around the exact error. So the error messages are very generic. So currently we are working on improving these errors, right, and give you kind of additional information, including the stack trace. So you can go and get some support from various community channels like Discord. So by the way, the version we are using currently is the Micro Integrator version 4.3. So with that only you will have this VS Code extension coming in. We released this a few months ago. So we are expecting to have another version of Micro Integrator early next year, which will be version 4.4. And with that we will have a bunch of improvements to this VS Code extension. And then we will have more features coming into this tool as well. So now I reran the project, and it worked, and it says admin logged in successfully. So now I'm referring to Micro Integrator runtime, and it automatically shows this runtime services paying for me. Server status is running. The deployed APIs are hello world. So now what you can do is you can try this out, right? So since it's a simple get operation, you'll be able to try this operation here itself. So you can try out, execute, you get the hello world, right? So this is how you can easily do the development and deployment, developer testing, and then you can stop the runtime when you're done with the testing. So you can keep on improving your integration by adding more and more mediators, right? So there are a lot of mediators, including payload factory, data mapper, which we used to work with our previous integration development tool, flow control, message transformations, mediators, and different extensions to call out JavaScript or Java classes, security, database related mediators. So we have pretty much 100% covered compared to our previous integration studio tool. So you can completely rely on this tool for developing your integrations. So that's it, and I hope you will enjoy working with VS Code. And you don't have to learn new tools, so you can stick to your existing developer experience and continue with the WSO2 integration development using this extension. Thank you, and I hope to cover some more use cases around Micro Integrator and show you how to do development using the VS Code plugin. Thank you.